Welcome back to the Sip and Swish Podcast. Here with Nick Reed and Lucas McLean, I'm Jason Stoltz. We've got a few beers in front of us, and we're ready to talk some All-Star Edition basketball. So let's jump into the first quarter, where we talk about the best and worst from the last week in the association, or as we refer to it as sipping or swishing. So, DeMar DeRozan swishing over the last week. His team winner of 5 in a row, 8 out of 10. I know you guys have lots of good insight and stats. Let's hear it.
All I can say is 52-point game, finally claiming his throne as the top scorer of the Toronto Raptors, away from the great Terrence Ross.
Yeah, right. I don't know, he should be in the MVP conversation right now. I don't know if top 5, but definitely top 10, because they're 17-3 in the last 20, and a large part of that's just DeMar, and he's averaging 35 points a game in the last 5. His mid-range game is now elite. Like, it was perfect and good and all, but now it's top-notch. I think a huge proponent of the DeMar DeRozan evolution is he's now playing power forward for like 7 minutes a game. And I think the power forward DeMar being able to post up, that's always been like his second option. It's always, the mid-range, and now he's got this post game that can really take it to smaller power forwards.
Some of that Kobe action going on.
He's definitely like a mini Kobe right now.
I mean, he's just shooting outstanding from the field. His 3-ball is still inconsistent. It's doing better.
He's got it now. He's got a 3-pointer now. He's very average at threes now. He used to be terrible. It was like 29%, right? Now he's shooting 35. It's very average, but it's a threat now. Before, like, people were just, they were backing off of him. Now they don't have, now they can't.
The last 4 games, Milwaukee, they played twice. They played the Nets. They played Chicago. And I believe they played, like, the Mavericks or someone before that.
Yeah, but those Bucks matchups should be hard for DeMar. You've got Bledsoe that would switch on him. You'd have Brogdon. You'd probably have Antetokounmpo occasionally. Like, there's, like, a solid defensive squad. Deladova. Like, there's no reason why the Bucks should let DeRozan drop 52 on them. But he's averaging, like, prime Kobe numbers right now, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 3-time All-Star, averaging 6 points and 2 assists better than his career average. Mm-hmm. That's pretty impressive.
He's slaying it right now.
Also swishing, Steph Curry. We talked about him a little in this segment last week, but guess what? He's playing too well to leave out. We've got to talk about him. 5 straight wins for the Warriors. He's scored 32, 45, and 29 since our last pod.
In his last 5 games, he's scored 176 points, shooting 57% from the field. In the same period, he's made 33 3-pointers on 53% shooting. That's insane.
I think the best part is actually watching his game, because he was out for a really long time. He was out for 9 games, and 10 games, and you forget how I kind of forgot the mystique of Steph Curry, and then watching him come back, especially that 45-point night in 3 quarters, he was taking 35-foot bombs, and it was like 20 seconds still left on the shot clock, and I was like, I kind of forgot how insane Steph Curry is.
Were we seeing that version of him earlier this year?
I don't know. I don't think we saw that insane MVP style Steph Curry, which I kind of think he might be like the forgotten superstar right now, because everyone's talking about Harden and everyone's talking about LeBron, and then you have the up-and-coming guys like Giannis and all of them, and really nobody's talking about Steph Curry. They're even talking about Durant more than Steph Curry because Curry was out.
Right, I feel like Durant kind of claimed the throne on that team during the finals last year.
Yeah.
And then that carried through the beginning of this season. Steph gets hurt, comes back, and now he's the Steph that we all loved, from 2 seasons ago. Mm-hmm. I jotted down a note. I was just curious to get your guys' take. Where do you feel he is right now on, like, the likability meter? It feels like the kids wanted to be him. He was the face of the NBA before the Durant, move.
Right.
And then last year, everyone kind of turned on him. Not like we turned on LeBron. Not like people have turned on other superstars. But it's just been an interesting ride, it feels, ever since Durant arrived there. What's your guys' take on where he is right now in terms of public perception and, like I said, for lack of a better term, likability?
I think his likability is it's plateaued right now. It's almost, when he plays, it's like watching LeBron play in the sense that you expect this greatness, and it's no longer a shock when Curry pulls up from 30 anymore. It's like, okay, we know you can do that. We still love it, but it's not like a whoa, and you're not gaining more fans anymore. Like before, you were just skyrocketing because you're doing something and no one else in the league could, but now after 3 years of watching you do the same thing over and over and over again, I don't know if his likability is going up anymore. I think it's probably this is it. Like, this is peak likability Steph Curry.
I can agree with that. I mean, I love Steph Curry.
I love Steph.
Love watching him play. But the Durant move really put, maybe not a damper on him, but it's just like, oh, well.
The whole Golden State team.
Yeah, it put a knock on them, like, oh, you guys weren't good enough to win, so you had to go get Durant. It's like, Durant wanted to go there.
Which sucks because they were good enough without Durant. Like, they didn't need Durant. They were in the finals every year. Like, they didn't need this second best player in the league, and then they got him. Now it's not even fun.
Yeah, it went from Durant being my favorite player in the association and the Warriors being maybe my favorite team to watch to me really disliking Durant post that decision and me rooting against the Warriors in almost every game.
Yeah.
One other thing, not to monopolize our Curry time, but wondering if you guys had any thoughts if you could put him on another team and that team would then become an instant championship contender.
Man.
What team would that be? The one I thought of was New Orleans.
Wow.
I thought if you put Curry with those big guys,
that's a really good choice.
It's, at least for me, it was the biggest potential jump. Mm-hmm. You're taking someone that's probably at best a 7 seed and making them a championship contender.
I think that's probably right. I think, man, because then you have 2 superstars. You have Drew Holiday, that's good. I think the problem with that team, the only problem would be is that there's no role players, really. They have Darius Miller, and they have, I can't remember the other guy's name, but he's shooting lights out from 3, but they're not good enough role players. I would love to see him on the Nuggets, because they have all the youth young players. They have Jokic, who will be a superstar. They have Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, Wilson Chandler, Will Barton. It's like endless role players on that team. So you just stick Steph Curry on a team with endless role players that can shoot, dribble, create their own shots, all young that can grow with Curry. I would love the Nuggets with Curry.
That would be insane. I really, really want to say the Timberwolves, if they had a bench. I think if you throw Steph Curry instead of Jeff Teague, that just opens the floor so insane for Wiggins, Jimmy, Towns.
That would be cool.
That would be incredible. But if
I had thought of our beloved Timber Puppies.
I thought of the Timber Puppies. But I think the team that would go, take the major step would be the Raptors.
You replace Lowry?
Lowry with Steph Curry.
Great answer. Yeah.
That would be...
Especially in the East.
Yeah.
You would just cakewalk the East. Wouldn't even be fair. It really wouldn't.
So sipping this week, we have LaVar Ball and the Lakers. Kind of in tandem. Lakers are 1-9 in their last 10. They're awful. I'll let Nick really jump into this one since they're his team.
I'm so ready.
Oh my god. The Lakers are just melting right now. Let alone Caldwell Pope being in and out of jail. Or
I love that. It's the best story.
We're 2-11 with him locked up since he couldn't leave the state. LaVar Ball's over in Europe talking smack. ESPN's running the article.
Yep.
In general, do you know they pay a reporter just to follow LaVar Ball?
In
Lithuania.
I didn't definitively know that, but It felt that way when I saw a reporter.
There's a reporter who just follows the balls.
Oh, it's awful.
And now, I mean, Lonzo's been playing well. This will be the light at the end of the tunnel for me right now. Since December 12th, he's shooting 43% from 3, almost 50% from the field. Free throws still about 50% because, let's not get carried away here.
That's a market improvement.
He's getting there. He's learning how to play, but these distractions with his dad is getting to the point where just shut up. Play with your kids in Lithuania because you don't know how to be a father anymore.
I don't know. I think I just love this past week of Rick Carlisle and Steve Kerr. They've gone off. I don't know if this is going to be a tipping point of the whole LaVar Ball thing, but I hope it's a push towards it and not just another, knock on the timeline of the LaVar story.
There.
But Rick Carlisle just went off on ESPN, was like, no more. You should not be reporting on LaVar anymore. It's just feeding the fire. You're just getting clicks. You laid off so many people. You laid off 100 journalists, and you hired one just to follow LaVar? Are you kidding me? Carlisle is the head of the Coaches Association, and he thinks that it's going to be like a real rift now. Like, the next talks, the next meetings are going to go into ESPN having to cut back on these sort of articles. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But
did you see what Stan Van Gundy said?
I didn't see what Stan.
So, January 19th, there was supposed to be this, ESPN gets all this extra access into the Pistons, and now he's going, no.
Good.
You're not, we're not holding you from the press conference or anything, but we're not giving you all this extra stuff. If you're going to trash the coach, which you're trashing all the coaches,
right?
We're not going to accept it. The coaches are uniting against ESPN.
What do you think of Steve Kerr's comments? I thought they were extremely accurate. And he was saying that it was mostly society's fault that this is what's happening. Too many people, too many fans love the clickbait. They love seeing LaVar's face. They love saying, oh, what drama did he do next?
Right, I mean, it's what we're choosing to consume.
Right.
And they're giving us what we want.
And Kerr says, do you blame ESPN or you blame the fans? Do you blame people? So, I think it's both to blame. I mean,
I think it's hard to blame ESPN, honestly. I mean, ESPN's goal as a business is to make money. Sure. And if we're all... It's the new Kardashians. The Balls are the new Kardashians. Maybe with a similar curse. We'll find out in the long run. But as the only father on this podcast, let me just say, LaVar, I disagree with your parenting style. And honestly, in all sincerity, I think we've actually seen reverse racism throughout this whole thing. I think people aren't holding LaVar accountable because he's black. And I think every time I've heard kind of the opposite, if this was a white parent, doing this for their children, we would applaud it, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm calling bullshit. All right. So, like I mentioned at the top, this is an all-star edition of the Sip and Swish podcast, which means we're giving the people what they want. The Lucas list. Twice as long this week. It's covering the second and third quarters of this pod. And he's going to give us the 5 starters from the East and 5 starters from the West as he sees them for this year's NBA All-Stars. And Nick and I will agree or hopefully disagree because it's more interesting.
Okay, so the number 1 point guard in the East, number 1 guard, I have Kyrie Irving. He's averaging 24 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. He's almost in the 50-40-90 club. I just feel like this is an obvious pick for guard. He's a top-tier guard. He's on the second best team in the league. Celtics have the best defensive rating in the league, and they have the best defensive lineup when he's on the court. So he's actually one of the best defensive point guards now. That's a complete 180 from last year. And I think the biggest thing is he's the only player on the best team in the East that can create his own shot. No one else on that team can. And the stat to prove it is 35% of all of Kyrie's shots are assisted on. Everyone else on the team that scores more than 8 points a game is assisted on 70 plus of their points. Kyrie's the only one that can create, and I think that that creates a lot of offense for everyone else. So when he's trying to create, people are going off ball screens, they're cutting. Just Kyrie is the complete package for this team, and I just feel like it's an obvious choice.
It's a pretty deep dive right there. Those were some good stats. I'm gonna hit you with a couple that say maybe he's not so deserving. He's not top 10 in any major statistic. So he's not top 10 in points. He's not top 10 in assists. He's not obviously top 10 in rebounds. That's not great. You know, I mean, it could be better. He's also 22nd in efficiency.
That's true.
And a lot of the stats you brought up, while totally relevant, and trust me, I agree, you use the eye test, and he's crushing it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stats you brought up do they inherently take into account the play of other people around him. You know, like the lineups that he's playing with. And yeah, I mean, if you're going to make an argument for him not being deserving, that would be the argument.
Right.
It's tough for me. I really want to say John Wall.
He's not deserving.
Because he's 19 points a game, 9 assists, a couple rebounds here and there.
No way.
But I will say Kyrie. I think the Celtics, as amazing as they were last year with Isaiah, Kyrie this year is just taking him to a different level. And I gotta say, I agree that Kyrie should be the starting point guard.
On your John Wall thing, I was looking at John Wall to add to this list. He's averaging career lows in everything. He's shooting terribly from everywhere. He's just playing so poorly right now, and like Bradley Beal might be playing better than John Wall. He's shooting so bad.
Those are fighting words in this podcast.
Fighting words.
We do not compliment Bradley Beal.
Never. All right, number 2, the second guard in the East. I have DeMar DeRozan. I feel like I just talked up DeMar a lot, but you know he's averaging Kobe numbers. He's second best team in the East. 25, 5 and 4, 49% from the field. He's actually shooting 37% from 3, which is insane. And he has a 3-point shot, which is the biggest thing ever. The Raptors are 17-3, like I said before. And it's a huge turnaround is because of DeMar DeRozan. In that last 20 games, he's shooting 44% from 3. He's a 3-point shooter now. I think I'm going to say that, and it's going to be true. He's a 3-point shooter.
He's carried this team to be debatably the biggest challenge for the Cavs in the East.
Yeah.
I don't think you can hands down say the Celtics are scarier than the Raptors. And I think the only reason why that's true is DeRozan's play.
Yeah. I could say that.
You know, ESPN doesn't list him as a shooting guard though, so that's your big problem here. Is you're a small forward. No, DeRozan's the best shooting guard in the East. Bradley Beal doesn't actually exist. He's not good. I mean, maybe the only other person, like we've said, would probably be Oladipo. Just awesome play in Indiana, but DeMar's playing insanely better, barring tonight's game.
Also, if you think about how the All-Star game goes, it's so recency biased, especially in the last week. We have only 7 days left till the All-Star voting's done, and DeMar in his last 5 games is averaging 33, 6, and 3, and he's shooting 50% from 3. This is all, and he dropped 52. Recency bias is gonna push him over people like Oladipo and Beal and Wall.
Maybe this is a good time to frame, I guess, the context for your list this week. Are these aren't prognostications on your part, right? This is simply who Lucas thinks are the most deserving. Like the 5 best, right?
The 5 best. Yeah, I'd say so. 5 best. And also the people I think that will be there, I guess. I'm projecting to be there as well.
The starting 5, because we did the kind of the bubble players last week.
Right, yeah. These are my, they're projections as well.
Okay.
The first forward, I think it's pretty obvious. It's LeBron James. I think he's, it'd be, if he didn't make it, I think it would be a shame, and it wouldn't make any sense. This is going to be his 14th straight All-Star game starting, so But I think the one thing that if there was ever in question of him not making an All-Star game, this is the first year he's ever been the underdog. And he actually might have that narrative. There are 5 teams in the league with a better record than the Cleveland LeBrons. And
Cleveland LeBrons.
I like how we snuck that in there. So casual.
I didn't even, gonna gloss right over it, and then I was like, wait a second.
I mean, he just lost to the Timberwolves by 28. And at one point, they were down by 41.
He only scored 10 points.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time he scored close to 10, and I think it was the one time in the finals against the Mavericks he scored 12.
I think the last time he scored less than 10 was honestly 07 or something like that.
Yeah, it was probably close to his
just some random game where he got
early in his career
in foul trouble or he got hurt really early. Something stupid.
I think this is a no-brainer.
When we got our preview of your list, I don't know why, it made me think of when LeBron first came into the league and he and Melo came in right, I think at the exact same time, if not within a year of each other.
Yep.
And I remember there was discussion, most people definitely on the side that LeBron was going to be the far greater player.
Yeah.
But there were a handful of people, expert basketball people, that thought Melo was going to be that guy. And it's just wild to, think about LeBron on this prestigious Lucas list today. And to think about where Carmelo Anthony is and the different trajectories of their career. And it kind of made me feel a little bad for Melo, honestly. I mean, has he been a disappointment? Not to get too off topic, but has Melo been a disappointment as an NBA player?
I don't know. I just feel like going into the league, he was a scorer. He was an elite scorer at Syracuse. They won the national championship game, and then he came in. He was going to be... He owns all the stats for ages 19 to 21 in scoring because he came into the league dropping 25 a night, and he could do it at a whim. I don't know if it hurts his legacy, but he's never really developed any other part of his game other than scoring.
He'll be he won't be as good, but he'll be the Charles Barkley of this generation of being a really talented player that...
I think you just gave him way too much credit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A talented player...
Barkley's real up there.
Yeah, no. But, Melo had the run of... They got to the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
That they just never seemed to put players around him. It would be like Allen Iverson when he was not really AI anymore.
Yeah, he was real old.
They never really got that player with him. Same thing, when he got to New York, it was we'll get you Amari. And then Amari's knees gave out.
Right, no knees.
I think this will be the first time that he's actually had talent with him.
Right.
And now he's past his prime.
Now he's past his prime. They waited way too long. At least he's getting those checks.
R.I.P. Melo's legacy.
All right, so the second guard in the East is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think this is probably pretty obvious too. He's averaging 29, 10, and 5. He was the extremely early MVP front runner because he had his first 2 weeks of the season. He was averaging 35 a night. So everyone's eyes were on Giannis, 23 years old. The hype was so high. But he slowed down. I don't think this little slowdown that he's on, which isn't really a slowdown by any normal player standards, is going to stop him from being in the All-Star game. He's huge at this point. Everybody knows him. People are going to vote for him. I don't know. I really don't know what else to say about this.
Did you see the stats from the first round of voting?
No, I didn't.
Giannis Antetokounmpo is the leading vote getter in the Eastern Conference.
He's passing LeBron right now?
He passed LeBron.
Well, then there's no doubt in my mind. People love him, and I think they love him because you can't compare Giannis to anyone else in NBA history. He's almost 7'1". I know it says 6'11", but every NBA player asks if they're not a center to be listed at 6'11". So there's a really good chance that he is taller than 7 feet tall. Kids just love him. He's an international phenom. Yeah.
I feel like he's having an all, first team NBA season.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I don't think there's anyone playing better at his position. He's second in scoring, second in efficiency. And again, you just, kind of eye test.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's amazing. He's exciting to watch. He has a style of play that, as you alluded to, is almost singular right now. I'm not seeing anyone else play in the exact same way that he is.
No.
And it's exciting. And I don't think Nick is the only one that lays in bed at night saying, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
The biggest thing might be he's actually playing at center. And he's strictly playing at center in most lineups because they don't have a center at all. Their only center is Thon Maker, who apparently by Bucks fans is not an NBA ready player, and he's already 25.
The problem is the Bucks cashed in on this. We need a win with players of John Henson.
I don't understand the GM's thought process with any of this. Teletovic, they're paying a lot. John Henson, Deladova, they're paying $13 a year.
They don't have this cap room, and they need to shed it, and there's no more Philadelphia 76ers.
You don't have a guy you just throw.
Here, take all of our cap. We'll give you
money,
2 picks. Thank you. And they'd be like, okay, we'll pay over it, whatever.
So I think the last forward is going to be Joel Embiid. 24 and 11. He's shooting worse than last year, but I really don't think that's going to be a factor. Without Embiid, the 76ers are only 2 and 7. And then with him, they're 17 and 12. They should be the 6th seed right now. And they're fringe playoffs just because he's been injured. But I don't think his injury is going to hinder him from being in the All-Star game. He deserves it.
I think he'll just be in the All-Star game off the fact that he's so fun on social
media.
He's
he's on social media all the time.
He'll just be like, all right, guys, tweet for me. And all of a sudden he'll get a couple 100,000 votes, 50, 60,000 votes.
I think Embiid's biggest thing is I think it brings up the question of how much time in the regular season is it acceptable to miss and still make an All-Star game? Because right now he's missed a fourth of the season.
It's a great point, yeah.
I will point you to the direction of Kobe Bryant getting an All-Star game with, I think, 2 games played. It had to be something like that.
See, that's what I think there should be a minimum. I think the league needs to restrict this and make this more of a high-statured award.
But it feels like everything the league has done in terms of the All-Star game, they've just made it more fun and cheaper.
It does feel a lot cheaper.
It doesn't feel like an All-Star is deserving anymore.
See, but that's when you think of oh, should this guy be in the Hall of Fame? And then you look at All-Stars and you look at awards, and when you look back, you're like, oh, well, Karl Malone had this many awards, and it's well, if you think of that now, it's well, that award doesn't really mean as much. I don't.
Just think of Roy Hibbert being an All-Star.
See, that's what's gross.
And maybe 10 years from now, we'll look back and not use those metrics.
We'll do more points per game.
I hope so.
I think I agree with Embiid. I think he's fun. He will give a great attitude in the All-Star game. I hope he participates. I like this new conference style. I don't think we've talked about it yet, where it's a captain of each conference picks this team.
Right. So everyone gets voted into the All-Star game,
yes.
And then the captains pick from.
So there's a chance we could have something with Giannis and Kevin Durant on the same team.
Right.
With a Paul George.
Yeah, it's going to be really weird. I like it. Okay, so the West All-Stars, we're going to go in reverse order. So I'm going to start off with the forwards. My first forward, I have Anthony Davis. I feel like this is also another no-brainer. He's putting up all the stats. His team is in the playoffs, which was always kind of a knock on him. Okay, you're a good player on a bad team, sort of thing. But I think now, since he's in the playoffs, he's probably solidified in the playoffs with Boogie and Rondo, that he deserves this. He's also averaging career highs in everything. Basically, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, free throw, and assists. This is the best supporting cast Anthony Davis has ever had with Boogie. And I just feel like he's been in the conversation for so long as best power forward in the league. And it feels like he's been in the league for 8 years, but he's only 24. I think he might have been the best power forward for the last 3 years, which is terrifying to think about. What do you guys think?
I can't disagree. I mean, he deserves to be there. He deserves to be a starter. I wonder if he's actualized his full potential at this point.
Ooh.
And if he has, if he really is everything that GMs and scouts and the talking heads have wanted him and expected him to be.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's the case this year, he's an all-star.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a starter, hands down.
It's mind-boggling for me to see the Pelicans actually in the playoff contention right now.
I mean, they're hovering around like 7 and 8, but that's still separating them from the people below them. It's like the Jazz and the Suns. Like, there's a huge skill gap between Boogie and DeMarcus Cousins and the Phoenix Suns.
That terrible team. I just think the stats speak for themselves. Like, you watch that team and you watch these two big men playing, and you're just like, how are they playing against? They're taking the opposite approach. Everyone else is like, everyone else is going small, and they're just like, nah, we're gonna put 2 7-footers out there who can just literally run the floor.
I love it. I actually brought that up in our test podcast before we ever published one, which was that I love watching New Orleans because their style of play is the polar opposite of the entire 3-point movement that has just taken over the NBA.
Oh, yeah. I think that the addition of Boogie has made Anthony Davis expand his game so much more. Like, now he's a real 3-point shooter. Last year it was like low 30s. Now he's shooting 37%. That's a real threat. Like, people have to respect that. He's also hitting way more mid-range shots. Just Boogie being there, I think, gives a comfort level to Anthony Davis that he doesn't have to do everything. And probably a confidence boost that they can probably win games without him having to risk injury doing literally everything. Probably boost his performance.
I mean, some of the games they play, it's like, all right, let's put up 90 points together, and they still somehow lose. But I think that was before Rondo. Rondo got there.
Yeah.
Rondo.
Drew Holiday's like exploded this season too.
Drew Holiday is starting to actually be the old Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
I once left. It's been a while. I've hated you for a bit.
I want to see the team be great.
I really
do. It would be good for the league.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be fun.
I would love to see
it would be fun.
A series of Golden State versus the Pelicans.
I want to give them a super mellow pep talk. Just kind of like I just did. I just want to be like, Pelicans, come on. It would be fun.
Just do it. Just win some games.
Be better.
Be better, please. So, for the second forward, I have his partner in crime, DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. I think this is a no-brainer, too, because I just think he's the best center in the league. And I don't think it's very close. Being over 7 feet tall and 290 pounds, I can't think of another center at that size that can do what Boogie does. He can drive, he can shoot threes, and then when he's in the paint, I think there was some highlight video of him just destroying Fareed. And Fareed's supposed to be an old-school power forward, and he's destroying. He was almost like Shaq light. He's not Shaq, because Shaq could carry a team on his own, but he has that overpowering body that no one else really has that can defend. I mean, I guess if Joel Embiid was on that night, he's the only similar player that could put a body on Boogie, but I can't think of anyone else in the league.
That's what came to mind. I don't know if I put Boogie ahead of Embiid, and I know that's kind of crazy, but so is Boogie.
Boogie's crazy.
But no, for real though, Embiid means so much to the Sixers in terms of wins.
Mm-hmm.
If Embiid plays, the Sixers win, and I'm not sold that Embiid's supporting cast is any better, if at all, than Boogie's, especially since Anthony Davis is there. I don't know. I'm not willing to say Boogie is heads and tails better than Embiid.
Do you think Boogie's stats are empty stats? Like, do you think his 26, 13, and 5 are not contributing?
It seems unfair to say yes.
But I
kind of yes.
Like 45% of me agrees with. Could a bunch of role players replace the production of Boogie? Or is he just stat hogging those stats? Like, I don't really know.
I think he's putting up those stats, but I mean, he did the same stats in Sacramento.
Exactly.
And he's doing them in New Orleans with Anthony Davis there. So it's not like he's hogging all the rebounds, like not giving to anyone else, because Anthony Davis still putting up
So
rebounds.
he's not like directly contributing to wins. Is that what you're saying?
I think he's putting wins in there. But
Okay.
he has, like we're saying, the supporting cast is definitely better than what he had in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Sacramento has just for so long been trash.
They really have. I think the next forward on my list is Kevin Cupcake Durant.
You got the middle name wrong. It's Snake.
Oh, Snake. Sorry. Snake Durant. I just think this one's pretty obvious too. Best team in the league. Best scorer. 26, 7, and 5. He's leading the league in blocks, which I think you put a little asterisk next to it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But because he's playing 80% of his minutes now at the power forward position, which is a complete switch from him only playing small forward last year to now playing center and power forward. 13% at center, 80% at power forward. I think that attributes a lot to his blocks. He's just freakishly tall. So I don't think his skill at blocking has gotten better. I just think where he stands on the court is now changed.
He's
But
put an emphasis on defense, you know?
no. I mean, without Curry, they're 8-2. So Durant held them off, but his percentages went down. His volume per stats, like points per game, rebounds, everything went down without Curry. They still went 8-2 because they're a really good team. But I don't know. Kevin Durant's in because he's KD and he needs to be in the All-Star game.
He's got
He's
enough
a starter.
Twitter accounts to vote for himself.
Well said.
He's got to at least have a few thousand, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's kind of not a ton to say about Durant. He's doing what he does. He's efficient. He's always been efficient.
Right.
He's dominant on offense. His defense is continually improving. He deserves it. There's no one else that you could possibly list as being more deserving than Kevin Durant.
No, I couldn't put a forward over Durant. Okay, so the first guard on this list, Steph Curry. I think part of me, it fell under that category of like how many games can you possibly miss and still be an all-star starter. Like I said before, I think he's the forgotten superstar in the league because people aren't talking about him because he was injured, but he's like 4 decimal points away from being in the 50-90 club while putting up 38, 6, and 5, which is pretty disgusting. He's more important than Durant on Golden State. I think I'm going to stand by that. I think everybody should know that.
Easily.
And just since he's been back from injury, it's like 2015 Steph Curry right now. 45 points in 3 quarters, 36 points per game in the last 4 games. I don't know, 54% from 3. I don't know what else there is to say about Steph Curry.
He's on a tear. He's on a tear like only Steph Curry can go on. And I'm not going to disagree, one, because that would be stupid. But also because he's my professor. I don't know if I told you guys this. My wife got me Steph Curry's masterclass.
Really?
For Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so legit. He's my teacher. He's my instructor. I feel like we've developed this bond. Like, I watch videos of him that are pre-recorded, and I talk to him, and yeah, we have a really special relationship. So
we have a special bond.
He's in.
Jason goes home after a day and like goes, "Look, Dad, I got an A on my schoolwork." It's like, oh wait.
So here's the plot twist. I text the both of you saying there's the surprise. Here's the surprise. I changed my last pick. I didn't pick James Harden. I picked Russell Westbrook. Will make the starting guard position over James Harden because of, well, besides recency bias, Westbrook is playing so much better than James Harden in the last 20 games. 27, 10, 11. He's averaging a legit triple-double while shooting 48% from the field, and the team's record is 14-6. That's so much better than the first half of the year when the Thunder went 8-12, and Westbrook wasn't averaging a triple-double, and Westbrook was only shooting like less than 40% from the field. He's completely spun it around, and Harden has fallen off a cliff. Harden
literally not flying.
He's just off the cliff, right? So they're 2-5. Harden in his last 7 is 2-5. Completely fallen off in like fan media. Everyone hates him right now. And he's gonna miss 3 more games. He's gonna be out for 2+ weeks. Westbrook still has 4 more games. He's only down by 80,000 All-Star votes. Easily in 1 week. Westbrook can do something really insanely dumb, like drop 50 and 10 and 10. He's going to gain 100,000 votes just in 1 game. I think Westbrook deserves it. I think he's going to make it.
I had a weird suspicion when I was looking at this list that Westbrook wasn't on it when Steph Curry was out for so many games. I appreciate the switch, and I think it does play into your people missing time, missing the All-Star game.
He's going to miss a lot of time.
It's a minimum. Taking a stand against missing games.
It's a minimum of 2 weeks.
It's a minimum. And like we said, the All-Star game is... Let's see an All-Star game. Westbrook is starting to not shoot 3-pointers, which might be the smartest decision of his entire career.
Oh, man. Isn't it like last 15, he's only averaging 3
He's taking
threes a game, and before that he was averaging like 7. Like
he's taking out half as many threes.
Yeah.
He's trying. I think he's gotten to the point where he's like, all right, we need to start winning some games. But I agree. Harden's out the first half of the year,
which is insane because Harden's stats are ridiculous. But
even with Harden being out, I think his stats are more impressive. Even they had their little, spin out of 7 games, but OKC had a spin out of like almost 20 games. Mm-hmm. I want Harden in an All-Star game more. Oh. As a starter. I never thought I'd say.
Wow.
No, you're the ultimate Harden hater. I love this plot twist. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Westbrook is so much more exciting to watch than James Harden.
Oh my God, so much more.
If we're taking just enjoyment into account,
yeah,
give me Westbrook for sure.
Everyone's favorite quarter, the fourth quarter. Ending of the game, ending of the podcast. This week, we're going to choose some real marquee matchups. Switched it up from last week. Lucas won, which no one loves.
No.
A 4-1 record out of him. And the first...
His joy is so upsetting.
It's disgusting.
I love it.
It's the first for the podcast. 2-way tie to do the shot.
Oh my goodness.
3-2 record. I banked everything on JJ Barea.
That's a dumb thing to do.
Right, I don't even think you said the name of the team. I think you just chose JJ Barea.
You did. First in the world.
And you can see where the alcohol comes involved in this podcast.
I love JJ.
All right, guys. So Wednesday night, we got a matchup in the West. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, man.
Now, the Timberwolves are going to be at home, so the BPI is favoring them 58%.
As we knew they would.
Thank you, BPI. I don't know. This is really hard to pick. Timberwolves are hot, and the Thunder are really hot.
Go with that gut instinct.
Okay, gut instinct. I'm picking the Thunder because the Wolves' third option is non-existent right now. Their third option right now might be their backup point guard, Tyus Jones.
He's balling. He might as well be their starting point guard right now. He's
I don't know why. I guess just semantics he isn't because they paid Jeff Teague, but he's their third best player because apparently Wiggins is non-existent. But the Thunder are on kind of a tear. I know they just lost to the Suns, but watching that Suns game, like, Melo was not involved. Like, Paul George, none of the Thunder seemed to care about playing the Suns. Like, it honestly felt like they were playing a modified squad, and then the modified squad won. And they also felt like, I don't really care. We lost to the Suns. I don't really care. I think I want to pick the Thunder just because I think Westbrook's so good right now. I'm not gonna go against him.
The Thunder Suns game was fun In the beginning, because I was talking a lot of trash to Lucas in our text thread, and then I became increasingly quieter as the night went on, to the point where I'm pretty sure I actually put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I'm going to take the Timberwolves.
Wow.
I think the Timberwolves are a good team. I think it's time everyone starts treating them as such. And they're home. I support the BPI, Timberwolves.
Jason's supporting the BPI. I support a man named Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh,
Cat.
no.
Embiid lit a fire under this man. His stats before Embiid took him to town and after is incredible. They're the 4th seed in the West. I mean, this team is adding Jimmy Butler made them a real deal.
But do you think Steven Adams is going to stop any of that progression of Cat right now? I mean...
He could.
I hope so.
You're rooting for that.
I think he will.
You know what? I think Cat is...
Cat can't play D.
He doesn't have to play D. He's going to put so much
He's
offense.
going to have to play D against Steven Adams.
He's going to put so
Steven
much
Adams
offense.
Just tearing apart the Suns the first half.
Accurate.
It was
the
terrible.
Phoenix Suns. Sorry. You got
The Suns beat them.
Tyson Chandler.
The Suns beat all my teams. They beat the Sixers. OKC.
I'm going to go Timber Puppies.
Wow, all right.
I'm hopping on the bandwagon. I'm loving what they're doing. All right, so we got Thursday night game. It's going to be an early one. They're playing it in London. So the Boston Celtics are playing Jason's Philadelphia 76ers. No home court advantage. The Celtics padded their schedule, so they had a week off before this game. They're favored. 55%. It's close. This is an Eastern Conference matchup. Well, start us off, Jason.
Sixers. I'm taking the Sixers. I just picked against my Thunder. I've got to go with the Sixers. The Sixers win when Embiid is rested and when he's on the court. And I think it's going to happen. I really do. It matters. I think the game matters more for the Sixers than it does to the Celtics. The Sixers are really fighting for that last spot, 8th or 7th in the playoffs. It just feels more relevant. Similarly, I think the Sixers play 3 games in 10 days or something. And 2 of them, I don't know if you noticed this, are actually against the Celtics.
Really?
So, yeah, the Sixers' schedule is brutal because the other game was a really strong team. I can't place exactly who it was. I think it means more to the Sixers. I'm taking them. Yeah, because I'm a fan.
It's so hard because I think I'm almost at the point where I don't ever want to bet against Embiid.
Easily.
I mean, until maybe Simmons in 2 years. Simmons, because I think Simmons may eventually become the best player on that team. Embiid is so good right now that if he's healthy, I don't see another opposing big ever being to stop him, especially Horford. I don't think can stop him.
Horford's playing some good defense this year.
Yeah, but not I don't know how much defense you'd have. You'd have to play like David Robinson defense to be able to stop Embiid right now. I don't know who on the court could honestly stop Embiid. Drummond couldn't. Boogie couldn't.
The only person stopping Embiid is Embiid.
Embiid's, yeah. So I'm picking the 76ers.
76ers. I talked to Jason about this the other day. Did you know Embiid doesn't practice?
Yes, I read that. I was surprised. I was like, AI 2.0.
Well, wait till you could win that Nick Sales. Seriously, couldn't you have just said I didn't know that?
Whoops.
For fans out there who don't know this, Joel Embiid, they don't want him practicing. They don't want him getting hurt. What he does is he watches the tape, and the coaches tell him what to do. Yeah. That's it. That's all he gets. To keep the podcast fresh, I'm going against you two. I'm going to go with the number 1 seed in the East.
Oh,
the favored BPI. Who would have thought?
What a hard pick for you. Feels so bad for you.
It was different. All right, Friday's night game. I named this game the Twin Ballers versus the Twin Towers. It's the Portland Trailblazers versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Now the Pelicans, 60% favorite at home.
Really?
You guys talked up Anthony Davis and Boogie, so...
I think the Pelicans will win this. Because if you think about the Trailblazers big men trying to guard the two Pelicans, I don't even know who this center is. It's that guy that they sent from... Nurkic. It's Nurkic trying to guard Boogie and Anthony Davis because their power forward would be Noah Vonleh. I know enough about Noah Vonleh to never over Noah Vonleh.
Sorry, Devin.
Yeah, so I'm going to pick the Pelicans because Boogie and Anthony Davis are in a completely different league than any big man on the Blazers. And Lillard's having a bad year.
Agreed, unless LaMarcus Aldridge is coming back for this game. Give me the Pelicans. I just don't believe in the Trailblazers this year.
No.
For whatever reason, it doesn't feel like it's clicking. Dame's having an off year, we've highlighted. Pelicans.
Yeah, I'm hopping on that Pelicans train too because these big men are just going to absolutely pummel them to the ground.
It's going to be terrible. How much do you think that Trailblazers front office has screwed Damian Lillard's chances of going far into the
Paying
playoffs?
Evan Turner was brilliant. Wait a second. Paying Alan Crabb was brilliant. No.
They got rid of him all.
Yeah, they literally just traded him back to the Nets, and the Nets were like, yeah, look.
They paid Crabbe. They paid Turner. They paid Myers Leonard. They paid... Now they have Sean Napier. They have way too many terrible players on really long-term contracts, but they're all mid-contracts, and you can't really trade all these almost $10 million a year contracts. I don't know how they fix that team. What they should have done was in the 2015 offseason, the Mozgov money offseason, they should have never paid anyone. That was the year where every GM was like, let's spend all of our money on role players because they thought it was going to jump another $20 million the next year. And they just shouldn't have. They should have just spent nothing like the Suns did. They just spent no money. No money at all.
The Suns are good at that.
They're good at doing nothing. They're pretty good at that.
Pretty good at that.
Exemplary.
So, Saturday night, speaking of doing nothing, you may not want to watch this game, but it's the battle of the last place in the Western Conference. You're going to have the Los Angeles Lakers
I'm going to watch this.
The Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks are favored 68%.
Really?
I'm going to go with the Lakers, obviously.
Even with all the turmoil.
No. Caldwell Pope is out of jail, out of whatever he has to do.
Thank God the criminal is back.
We were 10-16 with him, 2-11 without him when he was incarcerated.
Best storyline ever.
We're just going to gloss over it. Somehow his DUI turned into this massive, massive thing. The Lakers are going to take this one. The Mavericks are awful.
I'm actually going to go Shawshank as well and take the Lakers.
Wow.
I like this.
That's pretty good.
This feels good.
I think I want to pick the Mavs, and I think I'm going to, because I think Dennis Smith is going to have a game where he wants to prove he is the best point guard drafted. I think there have been a lot of, at the beginning of the year, there's a lot of rookies, matchup rookie battles. There was De'Aaron Fox versus Lonzo, there was De'Aaron Fox versus Dennis Smith, but I can't remember the last time the Mavs played the Lakers. Dennis Smith is going to have a night. I really think he is. I think he's going to get 22, 5, and 5. And that's not going to light up Lonzo, but they also have Harrison Barnes, who's super quiet and scoring always, but he's going to drop 20 and 8. And I think the Mavs will just bank on their veteran role players, just doing the bare minimum to beat rookies.
I was worried you were going to say veteran leadership, which is
kicked you out of the podcast.
Basically synonymous with saying oh, I love Bradley Beal. No, get out. We don't like you
the
anymore.
veteran leadership of JJ Barea.
The ghost of JJ Barea leading the Mavs.
Right.
Realistically, I'm just picking against the Mavs because JJ failed me. Now I had to do the shot this week. All right. Sunday night. It's quite a game. It's Hola Oladipo versus Mamba 2.0.
You Jay-Z.
We got like it. We needed more singing and sound effects.
We got Indiana versus the Phoenix Suns. I can't say we put the Phoenix Suns in this quarter yet because Booker wasn't around yet. He was injured for quite a while.
It was a week and a half.
And it was a bit more than a week and a half.
He pulled the groin. Give him a break. His wiener almost fell off.
That foot long. 57% in favor of Indiana. Now, this is a shooting guard matchup.
Yeah, it's the second best shooting guard versus the ninth, apparently.
Yeah, so obviously Oladipo's going
Stupid bleacher
to wipe
report.
the floor with him. He's number 2.
No, I just don't. When you look at the rosters, you just see like Darren Collison, and then you see Al Jefferson being old, and you see a lot of old people, and then you see Oladipo, who is good. But I really don't think the Suns are streaking. So like, I just think the Suns are gonna win. I think Booker might drop like 38. Oladipo's gonna do his average. Bender's gonna actually play well. Josh Jackson's gonna have another night. TJ Warren's gonna be again the quietest scorer in the history of the league by getting 22 points on only layups for the whole game because that's all he ever does. I'm picking the Suns because they're better.
I wish that our listeners could have seen the stars in Lucas's eyes while they talked about the Suns. It was beautiful. It was radiant.
I love them.
I'm gonna take Phoenix as well.
Oh yes.
I'm not the Suns fan on this podcast, and I feel like I've been singing Devin Booker's praises more than anyone. And he's definitely the best guard playing in that game.
I think so.
I think hands down, I think he is the future leading scorer of the entire association within the next 3 years. Give me Devin Booker.
Yeah.
I really want to differentiate this pod. I really want to take Indiana. But watching Devin Booker play is fantastic. Tune in next week. See who the winner is. See who the losers are. Hopefully, it's Lucas.
It won't be.
It's better if it's Lucas.
It's better for the society.